Miss Millie, Mr. Rahul has to start the live. Has to click on live.
Raj, I think he has done it. Started.
Good evening, our esteemed founders, principals, faculty, parents, and most importantly, our ambitious students joining us from across the country and also across the world. I'm your former principal and now the Director for Academic Operations for the VIBGYOR Group of Schools. And it's a landmark day for all of us as we launch the Career Mirror, our very first alumni guidance panel. This platform is designed to bridge the gap between school life and global professional choices. To lead us into this evening, it is my honor to introduce the visionaries of our institution, our founder chairman, Mr. Rustom Kerawala, whose foresight has built this legacy of excellence. And of course, our vice chairperson, the ever-charming Ms. Kavita Kerawala, whose dedication to academic rigor continues to inspire us. I would now like to invite Rustom sir, our Honorable Chairman, to share a few words and address the gathering. Welcome, Rustom sir.
Good evening. Audible, Shim?
Yes, sir.
Good evening. So it gives me great pleasure to see all our students, parents, faculty, principals, alumni come together. I think extremely proud of the entire alumni community, more than 20,000 students who are succeeding in life, making strides. And I think with every successful alumni that I see, I mean, it gives a separate, different satisfaction altogether. This effort that has been spearheaded by Shim, thank you for that, Shim, and getting everybody together. And I think once you take forward this program, it will be a lot of inspiration for our existing students. It will be a guiding principle also for them. They'll get an idea, they'll get the exposure. And yeah, I guess it's a great thing. So best of luck to all of you all and wishing this initiative a great success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rustom sir. I think the vision to start institutions of quality and now 40 VIBGYOR schools across the country in more than 7 states and 15 cities talks about your determination and your will to bring in quality education. Thank you so much for your address. And now we move on to Ms. Kavita Kerawala, our Vice Chairperson, who drives the academics and the plans for our schools. And I would invite her to speak to us and the community who is watching us across the globe. Ms. Kavita.
First of all, a very, very good evening to all of you. And thank you for joining us because it's evening in India and I'm sure all the countries must be on different time zones. So a big thank you to all of you for being with us. Here, and not just here in VIBGYOR, but we very strongly believe and we know that meaningful guidance comes from real experiences. Today's session bring our alumni back to share their journeys and insights, helping students make informed choices about their futures. I thank our alumni speakers and the Univariety team for partnering with us on this initiative. I wish everyone a very insightful session. To you, Shim. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kavita, for that very crisp note. I think purposeful decisions and to ensure that we make our right choices is what you just mentioned. I think they are keywords that will drive many of our students to be on purpose for the task that they're set forth to do. Thank you very much for being a part of this interaction that we have this evening. And now to start off the entire program, I would call upon Mitesh Parekh, who is a Senior Vice President, Academic Operations, former Vice Principal at Goregaon West, Principal at Malad East, Cluster Principal, and now, of course, in a senior role with us. I'll call upon Mr. Mitesh Parekh to please deliver the keynote. Mr. Mitesh.
Thank you, Shim sir. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mitesh Parekh, Senior Vice President, School Operations at VIBGYOR Group of Schools. It gives me great pleasure to welcome all our guests joining us from across VIBGYOR campuses. Initiatives like the Career Mirror are important as they connect our students with real-world experiences through our alumni. Conversations help students to gain clarity and confidence while making their academic and career choices. I encourage our students and parents to engage actively and make the most of the insights shared today. Wishing everyone a very enriching session ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parekh, for your to the message that is now sent across, or rather is heard across the country and the globe. And just as we were involved in training our students in school, now we have some of them as alumni sitting with us, and we'll also take questions. So to take this forward, I just want to let everyone know that the Career Mirror is a testament to our commitment to the future, supported by our strategic partner, Univariety. They are India's leading alumni management platform. They provide the technology that keeps our global VIBGYOR family connected. And this partnership with Univariety ensures that you have a direct line to the world's best universities and companies through the mentors who once walked these very halls. Now, to get going, we have with us our speakers, and our first speaker this evening is a stellar example of international career mobility. And I would like to welcome Anamil Kochar, a proud alumnus of VIBGYOR High and IBM in Pune. He's from the batch of 2013 and might seem like a very senior student to you, but he's pretty young, based out of Bombay. And Anamil's academic journey is a masterclass in global education and financial excellence. He began by moving to the UK to pursue his undergraduate degree in accounting and finance from the University of Sheffield, UK. He then transitioned to the Financial Hub of Asia, completing a master's in applied finance at Singapore Management University. Anamil today serves as an assistant vice president at JPMorgan within the global equity strategy team. He helps in analyzing complex market data to inform real-world investment decisions from one of the world's largest investment banks. His career perfectly illustrates how to bridge high-level financial theory with the high-stakes world of global market. Anamil, the floor is all yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you for having me here. So I will just share my screen. So thank you, everyone. I'm Anamil Kochar. I'm a CFA charter holder, and I currently work in JPMorgan Global Equity Strategy team, where we give out targets on different indices such as Nifty 50, S&P 500, and so on. I'm an alumni of VIBGYOR High and IBM Pune, batch of 2013, where our principal that time was Dr. Aluwalia. I did my A-levels there. Now, if you ask me back then whether I'd be working in the global markets role back then, I don't think I knew it. So I started out as a science student, but I realized in A-levels that physics and chemistry was not my forte. And thereby, I decided to pursue my undergraduate in University of Sheffield in accounting and financial management. Now, whenever I used to come back to India for holidays, Z Business and CNBC was always on the TV, which develop my interest in the markets. And that is why I decided to pursue my master's in applied finance from Singapore Management University. Now, during my time in the universities, I took part in the university's business challenge, which is an entrepreneurship and strategy simulation based round. I was nominated for the Contribution to Society Award as being a treasurer for a charity organization. And I also was the Singapore round finalist for the CFA Equity Research Challenge, where we analyze the company and present it to the industry professionals. Now, if someone is planning to take a career in finance and having degrees in business or accounting and finance, there are various streams. So you can enter into consulting, data and tech, so data science, fintech, or within core finance specifically, you have equity research, investment banking, private equity, and venture capital. Now, the skills needed in all these core finance roles are the must need is Excel, which you, of course, learn on the job and slowly, financial modeling, and analysis of heavy use of data. You also need to know the global economy. Whatever is happening in India, in US, in China, no matter what region or sector you are covering, you need to be aware of the global economy, of the geopolitics and markets around the world. And more importantly, is your communication and presentation skills. So after a point of time, your career is not just Excel and research and PowerPoint. It's more about confidence, storytelling, and presentations. So careers are really linear. And why I say that is I started out my career in a startup working in Singapore. It was a great learning experience, but it didn't work out because of the funding issues of the startup. And at that point, I realized I don't want my career in a startup. I want to build my stability and enhance my CV by working in a brand name. Now, that is why I'm here today. Now, a lot of students ask about work-life balance. So balance changes at different career stages. At the start, you are working hard because your aim is to learn, but eventually you manage your energy and priorities, and you try to build a career that will last over decades and not just a few years. You should think in a 3 to 5 year time horizon, try to seek mentors, connect with people on LinkedIn, connect with your university alumni, explore different fields, explore senior people in different fields, and get an idea of what you want to do. And especially in today's age with ChatGPT and AI, you have to stay flexible and adapt to anything new that is coming in terms of technology. Now, mistakes to avoid. So, one thing I really want to say is that a lot of people our age compare their journey with their peers, with their friends. Now, everyone's career path is different, and comparisons often push people into shortcuts. Now, shortcuts are not the path for careers, especially when you are working in markets. And the recent example can be like gold and silver prices. So, gold and silver are there in every household these days. Many retail investors chase the trend of silver at extreme highs, and when prices corrected by 50% in a week, they got trapped. Similarly, the same thing applies to careers. Don't chase trends without understanding the fundamentals. Build your skills, gain experience, and be patient, and you will be rewarded. Now, careers are marathons and not sprints. And I'll end this with Jamie Dimon, who is the CEO of JPMorgan, he often reminds people that markets reward fundamentals and careers reward consistency. Focus on learning, and the rest will follow. I'll stop here.
Well, that was great, Anamil. And what I can understand and what I could hear you say was about the stability that one needs to have in their careers. And you spoke about something that we so yearn, everyone across the world, a good work-life balance, and you did mention as to how one can achieve that in a very short sentence. You did mention to understand the world around us is very, very important, and something very critical to the generation now. Don't just chase trends. Look at stability. And you mentioned a very critical, something that's very critical for everyone to know. The careers are not just sprints, it's a marathon. So I guess you display maturity far beyond your age, and we're so proud of you that today you don't just talk about numbers, but also you talk about strategy and real life solutions to what you can offer. Thank you so much, Anamil, and we'll hear more from you because I'm asking students or anyone who's got questions. We're opening up the chat box. You can start putting in your questions down on the chat box, and we'll try our best to get the answers from Anamil or to whoever it may be addressed. Having said that, thank you so much, Anamil, and we'll move on to the next speaker. And our next speaker is Shania Pande. She is a shining example of academic excellence. I still remember her as a very young girl at VIBGYOR High Goregaon West. I was a principal once upon a time, and what I can understand is, she is from the batch of 2015, and a very warm welcome to you, Shania. Just a little bit about Shania before she speaks. She's a mental health policy professional at the Wellcome Trust in London, UK, which is a global charitable foundation supporting science to address some of the world's most urgent health challenges. At Wellcome, she helps shape funding and policy priorities across the UK and Africa, with a focus on improving access to mental health medicines and advancing safe, effective digital mental health tools. She's also previously worked in climate change and health policy and holds a master's in public health from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Shania is passionate about using policy to improve access to healthcare, particularly for the vulnerable and the marginalized communities. Thank you, Shania, and you're most welcome to share your inputs. The stage is all yours, Shania.
Thank you so much, Shim sir, and thank you everyone for having me here. I will just share my screen really quickly. Can I just check that?
It's visible,
everyone can see?
Shania.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
it's visible.
Oh, sorry. Hi everyone. So I'm Shania. I've actually been in VIBGYOR for like most of my early life. I joined VIBGYOR, I think, in the first batch in Goregaon West in 2004, the academic year 2004-2005. I was there until 2015. So that's a picture of me in our annual day performance of Cinderella, and then just a photo from like the 5th grade and the 9th grade. So I really enjoyed my time at VIBGYOR. I was quite involved with, so I was in Earth House, and I was really involved with all of the inter-house activities. I enjoyed speech and drama. I did a lot of jazz. And swimming as well as one of my passions. And as Shim sir mentioned before, he was my wonderful principal during the time that I was at VIBGYOR. And so I want to talk a little bit about kind of my career journey along like after I left VIBGYOR. So as I mentioned, I was in VIBGYOR from 2005 until about 2015, where I did ICSE. And I think that sort of an ICSE education really kind of set me up for like what I wanted to do later on in life. And so I went to pursue an IBDP degree, and I chose kind of biology and chemistry as my main subjects because that was what I was most interested in. And then I went on to do a bachelor's in science in biomedical sciences at the Queen Mary University of London, because I was really, really passionate about health, and I continue to be very passionate about health. And then I went on to do a master's in public health because I knew that I wanted to work in health, but I didn't necessarily want to work in like research or like labs, which a lot of the people that were doing, biomedical sciences at the time. went into, and then that kind of sort of helped me get the job that I'm doing now, which is I work in mental health policy for a philanthropy called the Wellcome Trust, and we spend about 136 million pounds a year on mental health research, and so I kind of help shape the work that we do, which is funding research in mental health, but also community mental health services, and helping people really talk about mental health, which I think not everyone does. And I know that VIBGYOR has a special needs department in every single school, which I think is really commendable, because as young students we struggle a lot with academics and balancing career, but something that we really don't talk about is our mental health, and it's just so important to have that kind of support. And I really appreciated the support that I got when I was in school, and it's really nice that it's been carried forward now as well. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of what public health is, because I'm conscious that not a lot of people might know, because it's not a very it's not a traditional career path. And so public health is really the health of the population. So doctors take care of individual patients, and public health sits above it. And so looking at health of the population and the community, and we look at a lot of different factors. So social factors such as education, work environment, people's living conditions, employment, but then also individual lifestyle factors such as age, their comorbidities, and then just general kind of socioeconomic, and then the environmental conditions. And then kind of going on to that, public mental health is more about how can we prevent mental illness. So we really focus a lot on depression, anxiety, psychosis, and suicide prevention. And so how can we take that at a population level to really help people. And then I wanted to talk, I think spend some time talking about the lessons that I learned along the way. And I think one big thing is that it's completely okay to be confused and to change your mind. When I was in school, so I know when I was in school, when I went into uni, I thought I wanted to do medicine. And then a month before my degree, I changed my mind and I realized that wasn't for me. And I think we can be quite hesitant to change our minds. I think especially given society and what people think, but I think it's really okay to do that. And at the end of the day, you will find your passion, and I think it's really important to know that. And it's also at the same time, it's okay to be confused. I started off working as an analyst for looking at COVID-19 health data, and I realized that I really did not like that. And then I applied to this policy job on a whim, and and now I can't imagine doing anything else. The other thing that I would say is that it's very, very important to build your network, and it's so important along the way that you talk and you connect with people as much as you can, because they can really help you kickstart your career. And I also think that it's so important, if there's a university that you want to go to, find someone. We have this lovely alumni network. I'm sure someone from here has gone to a school that you wish to go to. Connect with them, learn everything that you can about them, because while we can get all the best help, talking to people really will, and people that have done similar things as you, I think they will really help you go forward in your career. I think building resilience is really important, because along the way you're going to meet people that don't have your best interests at heart, but you need to kind of look through that and power through. And I think that's really important. And the other thing is to find time for interests outside of school and work, whether you like cooking or dancing or swimming. That's really important, because as you come to applying for universities, but you're also balancing applications with a very busy school schedule. And so it's really, really important that you find time for things that you're really passionate about. And the last thing is upskilling. We live in a world where there are so many free courses, and you can constantly learn so much, from different websites. And I think that's something that is really important as well. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for having me here, and I'll be happy to take any questions later on.
Great. Thank you, Shania. I know you already have some questions coming your way. I can see that in the chat box, so be prepared to answer some of them. That was incredibly insightful, and you did mention about the public health, which also is connected to mental health, which over a period of time, people have realized that's very important to have or pay attention to a mental health, because it can finally possibly turn into a pandemic if we don't pay attention to it, and far worse than what we would see on the external, right? Because these are all internal changes or things that happen which we don't usually pay attention to, and people don't care either. But thank you for that insight, and I'm sure there's a lot of input that'll come from you, from people who wish to understand that, because you studied here, so you understand the Indian public health scene. You did your graduation in the UK and went on to do your master's there. So understand there's a lot of input or support or information that you could share with young students who would want to reach out to you, maybe after this program is over, after this webinar is over. But thank you. And your work in global mental health policy and your passion for equitable healthcare is indeed inspiring. Thank you, Shania. And we'll come back to you with the questions. So stay there with us for some more time. Well, the next person who's going to be addressing is someone who's very interesting and comes with a very interesting understanding of AI that we're all talking about, AI and research. So Srinivasan, he's the final speaker for us today, and he's a pioneer in the field that is defining our future, artificial intelligence or AI. And he's from the batch of 2019 at VIBGYOR High, Haralur, Bengaluru. A warm welcome, Nitish. I will call you Nitish instead of Srinitish, if you're okay with it. And thank you for joining us in this webinar. Well, Srinitish completed his degree in computer science at VIT, Chennai, but his passion for deep tech led him to the prestigious IIT Delhi, where he's currently a master's research scholar. His work is at the absolute blending edge of technology, focusing on geometric deep learning and agentic memory, concepts that are shaping the next generation of AI. As he prepares for his PhD, Srinitish stands as a role model for every student who dreams of not only using technology, but actually creating it. I'll call upon Srinitish if you could share your inputs and talk to our people watching you across the globe. And we're ready to have a look at your presentation as well. So welcome, and please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for introducing me, and it's really an amazing honor to be here, actually. So I'll present what I have.
Sure.
Okay, so I hope this is. I hope it's visible. Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah. So my name is Srinitish, and as mentioned, I graduated from VIBGYOR High at class of 19. So VIBGYOR High Haralur. So when we so essentially I joined during the first batch, and I spent like around 10 years over there. So it was really amazing to be there. And then I went to Amatra for my 11th and 12th, VIT for my undergrad, and now I'm currently doing my master's at IIT Delhi, and I'll be doing a PhD later on, hopefully immediately after my master's. So I'll just go on what I'm going to talk about. I'll briefly introduce myself. I'll talk about how VIBGYOR has shaped me into get into research as such. I will also talk about what I really do right now, and I will also try to inspire as many people as I can to get into AI research as such. And I'll talk about why it is really fun. So a bit about myself. So I'm a master's student by research at IIT Delhi. So I work in the field of geometric deep learning. So my undergrad research focus was on the expressive power of hyperbolic GNNs. So graph neural networks, essentially how we represent social networks, like huge graphs like that. So I worked on the expressive power on networks that map them into representation spaces. So I had the opportunity to present this in Berlin last summer. So at ACM Sigmod. So it was really fun doing that. I'll get more into this, what this means and why it's a big thing right now. Also, some hobbies. I really enjoy cooking. I'm a big K-pop guy, so I design food trucks, posters for K-pop artists, and yeah, that's also something I do in my free time. So obviously, what really got me into AI research and obviously starts at VIBGYOR, right? And the first thing was obviously VH1 because the most important thing right now is communication skills, presentation skills. How, if you have an idea, how are you going to portray that idea to someone? How are you going to make someone understand that? So VH1 in Mumbai and Bangalore, which I had the opportunity to attend and speak at, really broke the ice for me. And that was an amazing moment. I met a lot of people over there, and I'm still friends with them as such. So it's really amazing that the opportunity that's given here, you get to represent a country, you get to talk about it, you get to defend. So these this is something you won't really be able to experience later on. So at school, taking up these extracurriculars is like really important, right? So obviously, I was in the student council for 2 years and had the opportunity of lifting that house cup once. It was an amazing thing actually because that was the first time really as a team I was part of winning something. And in ninth grade, doing this in front of a lot of people really even today means a lot to me. Obviously, the academics part. Today, I research in mathematics, and but till 10th grade, I was really poor at math. To be honest, it was weird. I don't know why, to be honest. But really, the teachers were world class, I would say, and they always motivated me. Said, you could always do it, and it took a lot of time for me to get to where I am. To be very honest, it took till 12th grade to understand that I'm into science, which is it which is absolutely fine, right? Because it's also something for everyone that it's okay for you to take time and figure it out. You don't have to have everything figured out in 8th grade, 9th grade, or even 10th. You can take a time, take a gap year maybe, and figure out what you really like. And it took a lot of time for me. And because it took so much time for me, I thought now I should really go and get that PhD. Because if it took that long, really I should explore everything about this. So a brief on what do I really do right now. So I work in geometric deep learning. I basically work with graphs, trees, and how we can use graphs and trees for uh, optimizing expansion, information retrieval, memory of agents is something I'm exploring now, like belief revision. So essentially over here, what I do is it's like when you prompt ChatGPT, you want ChatGPT to not give you a wrong answer. You don't want it to hallucinate, right? You want it to give accurate answers. You want it to search the web. And that's where information retrieval comes in, how you can ensure that ChatGPT doesn't give you fake content, fake citations, right? So I work mostly in that. I look at optimizing these models. I'm currently exploring something called model collapse as well, where let's say, for example, you've got an LLM, a large language model, you give it some data, it generates new data. But what if you train an LLM with that same data? So that is something I'm working on right now because we lacked one of the biggest bottlenecks in AI right now is data. And we lack that, right? So we have been using LLMs to generate data to train on. So there are certain bottlenecks here, there are certain issues here. So I'm exploring that right now. So these are some of my works. So I got to present my hyperbolic work with GNN's graph neural networks in Germany, which is at ACM Sigma, which is an A-star conference. Also recently, one of my works on Gaussian boxes, where we use boxes to represent word entities. And it's a bit theoretical, but it was really fun working on this. So I will be presenting this in Dubai at the web conference this April. So looking forward to that as well. So obviously, you might be asking, how do you get here? Because it's a very unconventional part. Because research is not something that a lot of parents would say get into it. Obviously, right? A lot of people would say finish your undergrad in computer science, get into get placed, maybe get a job get a SV1 job, and just go with the flow. But that, so I didn't want to do that. I really wanted to focus more on math, right? I wanted to explore embeddings, representations, and stuff. So obviously, this path is not linear. If somebody asked me, how do you do this step by step? It's not possible. There's no course for this. There's no real path here. It happens by exploring. You read papers. You just tend to figure it out by your own passion. To be very honest, obviously, there's a lot of reading, a lot of coding, late night. Uh, but it's fun because if you're here, you'll mostly be here because you love it. And that is why you won't look at it as work. And that's the most important thing about research in general. It shouldn't be work. It should be like a part of your hobbies as well, right? So that's one of the that's something which I really enjoy. So like because right now whatever I do, I enjoy doing it. So I don't get bored at work as such, right? Because I want to be here. And this is what I would like to tell you all as well. Take a career path which ensures that you want to be there, not just something which everyone else is doing. Because apart from obviously the job stability, you also need to balance enjoying your work, right? So at least in your early 20s, late or like early 30s, you can actually take your time exploring different fields, studying for a very long time, and it's really amazing, to be honest. Cold mailing is a massive thing, obviously, because there are no real job posts that are open on LinkedIn, right? You just have to email professors, look at the lab website, see if you're really interested in it. And it need not be that you have to be an undergrad or in masters. I see a lot of works in conferences like, if you may know, ICLR, ICML, or ECL, where 12th grade and even 10th grade students are presenting papers here. It's actually insane. And so you can even start that right now. If you can start coding, learn a language like Python, and then the math, you can obviously build it on the side while you're working. But you can cold mail a professor if you're really passionate, and you can get to work by your 10th grade itself, actually, and it will really help for your college applications as well, right? So obviously, I'll also talk about why this is fun. And you get to travel a lot. And that's the best part of this, where your conferences are obviously happening all around the world, Europe, Singapore, South Korea, and it's all fully paid for, right? And it's really nice to have that opportunity to explore the world, talk to different people, explore different cultures. Traveling is something that builds you as that really, it builds a different level of character in you, right? And it changes you as a person as well. So that is something that I really enjoy doing. Visiting studentships, you can talk to professors in Denmark or in the US, and you can email them and you can ask if they're funding for a 6 month or a 9 month or a 12 month your internship as such. And you can if they accept, they obviously will fund your expenses, and you can go for visiting studentships, which is also really fun because you again get to meet people and collaborate on some cool research topics in AI or mathematics. So I know a lot of people would say get into BTech, go with the flow. But if I think right now is the best time to do a BS in mathematics. It's my regret, honestly, to get. I still think I made a mistake doing my undergrad in computer science because coding is something, as you work, as you research, you build it automatically. I believe that happens because you need coding anyways, right? So you will build that on your own. So if you can do something that is more deep math, deep physics, it would obviously make not just enhance your profile, but really, if that is what your passion is, I think you should really go for it. And labs are always looking for passionate people, especially right now, because right, and the funding has increased. There's a lot of industry academia collaborations. So right now is obviously a very good time to get into this. And obviously, you see a lot of labs like OpenAI or Google Gemini. They also put out a lot of papers, right? Especially Gemini, especially Google, Meta. You see a lot of papers on Hugging Face as well. So obviously, there's a lot of research going on. There are 20, 30 conferences a year now. It's rolling every 4 months. So you have a lot of opportunities to submit your research to different venues as well. And you get to collaborate a lot. So yeah, it's really an amazing opportunity. Also, I talk about some very cool works that are going on. Physics of language models is something a few of my friends are exploring. They're trying to interpret LLMs using physics-based ideas. Reinforcement learning as well. A lot of labs in Amazon are doing RL. And multi-agent systems as well. I saw a few works from University of Copenhagen, Aarhus University, exploring multi-agent systems. The current ICML submissions as well. If you look at the preprints, you will see a lot of work in agentic memory, multi-agent systems, and right. So obviously, this neural inverse work was in CVPR, which is the flagship computer vision conference. And it's amazing to see the creativity. And this is one field where you can think of weird ideas, extremely, bougie ideas, and you can somehow get it to work, right? And you won't get this opportunity in corporate at all or in any other field. So if you're in a lab, you get to think about anything and you can implement that. And if it sounds really cool, you can, if you think it's really cool, you should implement it, right? So it makes you a very creative person as well. So yeah, so this is my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be ready to take them.
Great. Thank you, Srinitish. That was really interesting. You did speak a lot of coded languages there, which will be difficult for anyone who's new to understanding AI and research. But what you have done is, I think, to our students who are fascinated by AI and technology, you mentioned about the gold standard in terms of research, and we're proud of you as a VIBGYORite. At VIBGYOR Harloor, you spent 10 years of yours, and I think Shania spent another 12 to 13 years of her life at VIBGYOR. Anamil was there for a couple of years, but you truly do showcase what the current trends in terms of learning is all about. And we had three of you from three different paths. Thank you so much, and I'm very sure that a lot of questions would come your way from young students who would want to understand how do they take up the field of research, because you did mention that, what I could understand from your talk was research is important and you encourage research. And I think one interesting line that you'd speak is that you thought you were a weak student, but you were propelled by a set of teachers who encouraged you and stood by you while you were in school. That indeed talks volumes about the ones who taught you at VIBGYOR. You also did mention something very interesting about cooking as hobby, and also for designing the food trucks for K-pop. Something very, very diverse but interesting.
Yeah.
You also did mention about the VIBGYOR Model UN conference, which you attended a couple of times, making you a better person in terms of communication, having the skills to stand up and speak for yourself and speak your mind and tell others what you think is from your perspective. That's another interesting part to what you just mentioned. And very interesting, you did mention about traveling. Traveling does make you a much better person than being a static citizen. So thank you, Srinitish. And we really wish you all the best, even as you continue your journey and as you wish to pursue your PhD. My best wishes to you. So with that, we come to the close of our the three presenters, the alumnus of VIBGYOR from different schools of ours, from Goregaon West in Mumbai, and IBM in Pune, and Haraloor VIBGYOR High in Bengaluru. Thank you, our panelists. Now I'll open up the floor for questions. I think I have the first question. If I can share that with, if I can ask. Shania, we have a question for you. If you could answer this question, is there in the chat box. It says, how did you manage your interest in history along with biochemistry? So two diverse subjects, but something that someone is interested in asking. So if you could share your thoughts. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So I did history in school in VIBGYOR, but also I did history as one of my subjects for IB just because I was very, very passionate about history and just learning more about the area and like expanding my horizons. But so what I did, so I don't know if the the IB system is still the same now, but when I did it, it was you could take higher level and standard level subjects. So I took like bio and chemistry as like my higher level subjects, and I focused on them more because that's what I needed for my undergraduate degree. And then I took history at a standard level, which was a lot less work, but still like a lot of reading. So that's kind of something to keep in mind, that history has a lot of reading. So I took it as standard level, and like it was more manageable that way. And I devoted more time to the subjects that I knew that I would need for my future. And the ones that I needed to know that I had to get like a really good score to get into the university, as compared to like a passion, which also I need to do well, but I can probably just prioritize based on like what I wanted in my career. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
That's great. I think for the ones who are listening, what I understand from what Shania has to speak is one, you have an interest in history, and then after that it becomes a passion. So you get to research, you get to learn, you got to read up, all of that. But I guess you also need to have great teachers to teach you good history, because usually history was considered a very boring subject back in school for many. But I think if you have a great teacher, it comes to life. Shania, I also did understand when you presented that there was a choice that you made to drop medicine because then you realized the realization set in that medicine maybe is not the right thing for me to pursue. There is something else waiting. How did you make that choice? That's the question that I have for you because many of our students must be wondering, how do I make the right choice? When did that thing click for me that I need to now move out of what I thought was right, but it is not. When did that realization come in? And you mentioned that it was the right choice that you made. So also, if you could tell us so that many others, many young students can make the choice.
Yeah, sure. I think, yeah, that realization clicked in, I think maybe like a month in like the summer just before uni, like a month or two before I had to like join. And I think the realization that I had was that, while I am really, really passionate about health, kind of human health, physiology, like as a person, like I'm very passionate about that. Medicine was not the right choice for me because I just did not think that I had the ability to handle the pressures that are associated with going to medical school for 5 years and being a doctor. And I think as young people, like no one really talks about like what the pressures are of being a doctor and like that lifestyle, like having to take care of patients and like watching people like die every day because you can't save everyone. And I realized that just wasn't for me, but I knew that I was still passionate about health at its core, and which is why I did biomedical sciences instead. And there are limited spots in medicine, so I'd rather leave those for people that were very passionate and knew that they could do it rather than someone that was a bit like, oh, I cannot. So yeah, that's how I made the decision.
Thank you, Shania. Very interesting. You let people who you thought had that aptitude take that space, then taking that space and not doing a good job. That's interesting because I'm sure the passion that you pursued is finally helping you to maybe do things better than what you would have done maybe in medicine, right? Thank you for that perspective. So I move on to Anamil. There are a few questions for you. And one very interesting question that comes your way, we spoke about mental health and you did speak about that. And I think all the three of you spoke about what makes life interesting. The question that has come to Anamil is, what challenges do you face in your work and how do you handle them? Is it true that working in a top tier corporate company like JPMorgan makes you slog or work for 10 to 12 hours and in a day? And if that is so, how do you manage yourself, Anamil?
So, yes, so the main challenge with my work is the complex and uncertainty in the market. So, no day is same in the markets. Today, Trump can say something and markets can move in one direction. Uh, you don't know which direction markets are going to move in. There's incomplete information, but you still need to work with what you have. So you have to focus on the fundamentals. You have to be clear and structured in your thinking and update your views as and when new information comes in you. And more importantly, yes, so about working long hours, yes, there are long hours, especially during busy periods. So for example, for me, November is the most hectic time for me when we publish our next year outlook. So you look at all different geographies and you write a 100-page report on where do you expect the markets to move for next year. But then on the side, there are very lean days as well where you have only 5 to 6 hours of work. So overall, it balances. But what's more important is that it's not only about the hours, it's the responsibility that you get. Because when you write a report, people make their investment decisions based on your report. They invest in a particular stock or particular geography after reading your report. So you are helping someone increase their overall size of the portfolio.
Okay, great. I think, Anamil, I'm going to come to you for a lot of advice because you seem to be printing pages of suggestions and observations that you make. And you're right that when America catches a cold, when the world catches a cold when America sneezes. So there's a point in what you just said. So you did mention in your presentation about geopolitics and how we need to keep watching what's happening around us, right? To keep our eyes and ears open so that we don't lose out. So great, thank you for that input. And I'm moving to so Srinish, you have a question, and it says, how can we get into the field of research, and what are the few necessary qualities or habits that we can develop early on? If you could throw some light on that.
Sure. I'll go with the second question first. I think that feels a bit more chronological. Obviously, well, it depends on what you want to research on, first of all, because uh, AI research is completely different from biomed or biotech or anything related to it. I'll just talk about AI research. Obviously, your coding skills play a huge role, massive role, because you still need to implement your ideas at the end of the day. They have to be at scale as well. So you are not, obviously, initially when you start, you will not have the H200 GPUs or the A100 GPUs, right? You're going to be on your laptop. So you will start with small, innovative ideas and then scale up. So for that, you need to be very good at coding. A lot of people think otherwise they would say coding is secondary thing. I think coding is the most important before your theory in this. The other aspects, the other subjects, it depends on what you like. And as I said before, there is no linear path to this, and there is no workflow, there is no algorithm to this. It happens as you experience the environment, right? So when you experience that you are coding this and you need this mathematical concept, let's say, for example, you need gamma distributions understanding for understanding your data or something like that. So you'll have to study up about that at that time. So you can't just, it's not possible to study everything and then get into this. It makes it that's really not possible especially in this field. It's really not possible to do that. And how to get into research? Well, right now, if you're in 10th, 11th, or 12th grade and you're coding, you are learning coding on the side, and you are interested in LLMs. Let's say, for example, you want to work in uh, LLM interpretability, like understanding the inner mechanics of an LLM. You can directly email labs right now. There's MIT Media Lab doing this. There's a lab in University of Copenhagen working on this as well. And they take even high school students. So you can directly email and work with professors. When right now, there is a program also called Algovers, ALGOVERSE. They take in high school students to work with top professors in Stanford and MIT, and you can work with them on research on LLMs. So if you're focusing on LLMs, you can go now. Geometric deep learning obviously would require, it's very different. It would require more mathematics, understanding of hyperbolic spaces, and it's more theory. I work mostly in theory. My work is 80-90% theory and only 10% application as such. But there's a lot of really cool work going on in application as well right now. Brain, neuroimaging, climate change work using AI. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here. I'm not really sure about these because I don't really work in application, but yeah, in application, you can start right away, I would say.
Thank you, Srinivasan. I think we have another question for you, and that's coming from your former school. Somebody by the name Naina has asked a very critical question, and it says, "Will AI finally replace us?" That's the question on existentialism. So, if you could answer that.
I mean, no, right now, no, it's not possible. Right now, the current LLMs agents itself they hallucinate a lot, and that's a problem. And it's even today when a lot of people work on this thing called hallucinating detection, it is very superficial research because they're not really exploring what causes it as such. So obviously, no. I mean, again, it depends on what you really mean by replace. So if you're looking at something like AI conversational agents at call centers or customer service or those handling tickets in software companies, I think a lot of companies would want to implement AI in those aspects because obviously it is cost saving and the business aspect comes into this, right? Uh, but if you keep scaling up, if you keep focusing on the theoretical aspects, then no one can replace you, right? Because at the end of the day, the human is the one who's coding that model. And so for that, obviously, you would need to be creative. And AI cannot be creative for you. It cannot create anything. It can search, it can retrieve, it can generate retrieved information. It cannot be creative for you. So that is what you can take as, a motivational aspect.
Great, I think so. That kind of answers because everybody is threatened about AI, and there's a lot of talk going around, even by the ones who've created them, that would it go on to
Yeah.
monster that finally devours human beings? So an existential threat, basically, that's running in the minds of people and young students as well. Having said that, I'll move on to a question which is there for all the three of you, and I can ask any of you to go first. But would like to know your inputs from all the three of you. Very worried parent, like how your parents were, like how I am as a worried parent or somebody else's. And it says Srijay, I think she writes, my son is currently in 10th grade, ICSE. He's still not clear about his career. He likes science and maths, but not clear on the streams which can be chosen and the future that awaits him. So, would you throw some light on this? Not too sure, but I think all the three of you mentioned that career path, and I think Srinit mentioned the end. It's not a linear, path that you choose. So, could you explain and help the parent who's asked this question that my kid is not clear? What should I do? And how do I maybe tell him, guide him, support? So if you could, all the three of you could throw some light on it basis your experience. Anamil, you want to go first?
Sure. So to enter into the banking world, of course, maths is needed. So if you are good in maths, that really helps. Science is not a very strong requirement for any of the banking world. But more than maths, you need to be more focused in accounting if you want to enter into the marketing world. Your ability to think and react to situation matters more than maths. You have to be curious from before, like you need to have an interest in knowing why a particular stock is going up or why a particular market is underperforming. So more than maths, this is what matters. And if you have that curiosity in you, then you are the right fit for the banking world.
Great. So that was from the perspective of somebody who deals with numbers and strategy. Maybe I can ask Shania, from your experience and your understanding, for somebody who's confused only when they are maybe 15, not knowing what to do, and of course the parents also do get come under pressure. What do I advise my child who seems to have a different thought? So could you tell us or advise the parent?
Sure. I'm not really sure what the different board options are available, but I think what worked for me, and I think you can do this in both like A levels and IB as well. It's just it's like pick the subjects that you like, so you can do multiple like science subjects. You don't have to just do like chemistry or biology. You can take chemistry and physics or chemistry and biology, and then you can also do math at the same time, because I think like you need like basic core skills in maths or like sciences, if that's something that you want to like pursue in the future. So I would say, just take those subjects if you can, and ultimately like you'll find your passion. And and when you go into like undergrad, I think you can choose, like you can again like take some science subjects and also take math at the same time. Like it doesn't have to be an either or. And so I think, yeah, that would be my advice, is to try to do as much as possible. Sorry, that's very unhelpful given how much we already have to do. Yeah, but I think I would say just like try to do as much as you can. And I think your passion will just follow you, because I did not know that I wanted to do work in mental health. And, I did bio and chemistry, and I love biology. I did not like chemistry. But, it helped me do the career that I am doing today. And I can't imagine working in anything else.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's also important for us to understand the aptitude that we have for a specific subject, the interest that I would have over a period of time. Because Srinitish, I'll come to you on the same question because you did mention that you didn't consider yourself somebody good at math, and later on you developed that interest for math because there were teachers who supported you. But sometime in life, you did make a call. Of course, I can take up math or I can take up sciences and pursue that. So what would your advice be?
I mean, till 11th grade, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And in 11th grade, I genuinely wanted to drop science. I thought it wasn't meant for me because the rate at which they were teaching, because if you're preparing for these entrance exams, passion is out of the window. It's only about solving problems. So the rate at which they taught you and the rate at which you had to keep up, it never really matched for me. Obviously, that COVID period played a massive role. I mean, I cannot. I think pre-COVID and post-COVID, it's like me, completely different people. Like I'm like a completely different person, right? So I would say my suggestion would be to take time out of your syllabus and weekends maybe and figure it out and explore because you need time to figure what you really like, and it cannot happen overnight, right? It builds, and even when you start your undergrad you might not like what you're doing. You can choose your, as Shania said, you can choose your subjects, steer your courses the way you want to take it, right? So that would be an advice, that would be obviously my advice, because it will keep changing. Your interest will always keep changing, but you but my advice would be take time out. That's all I would say.
Great. So what I understand is, weigh it well, try and see what works best for you, because I think Anamil mentioned a very important thing that, let curiosity still play a role in what you choose and what you want to become 5 years down the line, 7 years down the line, because it does takes that much time after you've done your complete your grade 10, graduate from school. And there is a possibility that you've changed your track for the right reason, and you've done much better than what you possibly thought. But I understand from a parent's perspective that the pressure is on the parents at that point of time to help choose what do they take up in grade 11 and 12. Having said that, I come to the next question, and Shania, this is for you. Chitra Kant asks a question, and the question is: as a mental health professional, what would your advice be for parents who think that hostel life is the best one for students to improve academic scores? It's a question that comes from a very different perspective in terms of balancing a life in a hostel, because possibly since you stayed abroad for a long period of time. So as a mental health professional, they assume or they think that you would be able to answer this. What is the advice? Would hostel life be great?
I don't know how much advice I can give on this, but I think it just depends on the kind of person you are. Like for someone like me, so I did live like in a uni like dorm, which I think is what the person's referring to. But I am someone that gets distracted very, very easily by other people and very easily influenced. And so something like that would not work for me because I feel like I can study better and work better when I'm on my own, like doing my own thing. And so like a hostel life wouldn't work for me. But I think if you're someone that is a social person and then like works better and studies better with the help of other people, then I think a hostel life is great for you. But I just think it just depends on the kind of person that you are. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I do not know if there's a very direct answer for that question, because I've myself studied in a hostel in my middle school and high school years. And maybe if that parent or somebody connects with me personally, we should be able to chat up and understand the difficulties, the flip side of being in a hostel, but also the good side. Everything has two sides to it. So thank you, Shania, for that. I'm coming straight to Anamil. This is a question for you, very pointed one. Vinay asked this question: what are the most challenging aspects of working at JPMorgan? That's why I told you it's a very straight question. Your answers, please.
Sure. So this is similar to what I answered earlier. So like apart from the complexity and uncertainty of the markets, the other thing is prioritization. So you are working on a lot of things at the same time. You are working for different people. You are publishing multiple reports at the same time. For example, during the earnings season, when corporates report earnings 4 times a year, that's a very stressful part because, for example, if you are covering the auto sector, you're listening to a investor call at once, but at the same time, you're writing on a company that has already reported earnings, you're writing your review on that, you're updating your model. So you have to listen, work at the same time, and make sure there are no mistakes in it, because once it goes out there in the market, and if there is any mistake in the numbers, the share price of a particular company can move massively. So prioritizing what you are doing, working on multiple things at the same time, and making sure that you double check and yet submit it on time, because in the banking world, the first mover has an advantage. Whoever publishes first gets reviewed better, as long as your storytelling is right.
Very interesting last line. As long as your story tell well, it will be heard, it will be read. Thank you, Anamil, for that answer. I think we have very less time left, and I have two questions right now, and both of them are to Srinitish. Srinitish, the first question is from Sai Sudha, who says, "Hi, Srinitish. Between IIT, ISER, and ISC, which one do you recommend? We are confused about getting specialization in one subject like math versus engineering." So the question is, which is the college that one should prefer?
I mean, if you are into machine learning and stuff, IIT Delhi, because the funding here is really good, right? Especially a lot of money has been thrown into GPUs, and that's very important, to be honest. If you want to do ML research, you need GPUs. That is the key thing. You need H200s, A100s. Otherwise, you can't do ML research. So that way, IIT Delhi is pretty good. If you are into robotics in particular, IIT Bombay has a very good robotics lab going on right now. They're focusing on autonomous vehicles, and I'm not really sure what they're doing, but there are a couple of people I know who are working there, and they're really enjoying what they're doing there. So it again depends on your the professors that you would want to work with, right? But if it's pure science, IISc, IISER would be perfect. Like especially a bachelor's in physics or biology, IISER or IISc would be obviously your best fit. But again, if it's a PhD, if you want to do it in India, then depends on where the professors you want to work with and where their lab is set up. And because if you're doing a PhD, what matters first is your supervisor and your lab and the funding that they get, not your university, right? So it can even be a QS 600 university or a QS 500, sorry. But if that professor there is someone you want to work with, then you should go for it. That's what matters, I would say, right? Because they need to be funded. That's important. So it depends on the stream. That's all I can say.
It's also about the money.
It is about the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when it comes down to research, it's a lot of investment that is made, so
Yeah.
the outputs are great. And I think the general contribution done towards that finally spells good for human beings in general, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you for that input. Srindesh, one last question for you is from Jenny Prakash, who asks, could you just post the name of coding available to grade 10 to 12? Because you mentioned that while you were interacting, the coding available to grade 10 and 12?
What is that? Okay, so I mean, I think in your syllabus you're already learning a programming language. I'm not sure about this. I don't know how it's going right now. But if you want to get into ML research, C++ or Python is fine. I say C++ because your basics will really improve. And libraries like OpenCV are written in C++. So it's obviously great if you can do C++ or Python. But as for coding resources, my suggestion is don't use AI tools to learn. I know a lot of people would say, let's ask ChatGPT and get the syntax. The problem is the best way you learn is by reading books or documentations, and by figuring out your errors on Stack Overflow. You know, it's not through ChatGPT and Gemini, right? Because you'll not really understand the inner workings of it. Like there's a lot of errors that I've had. Like obviously you go through a lot of bugs while you code, and like what I've also been through, going through these niche documentation sites or websites that sometimes even require a VPN to access. Those I find more fun than, just asking an AI tool and getting it, because you don't learn anything, right? And then you remember these bugs for a very long time, right? So my suggestion is read, and for especially Python, read documentations. YouTube is okay, but do projects if you're following a YouTube tutorial. That's very important there. But yeah, just don't use AI tools to study, because it will reduce your attention span a lot. That is the problem. That's it.
Great. Thank you, Srinitish, for that very crisp answer. I know we don't have time, but the fact is that our chat box is now filled with a lot of questions that are directed from AI to astronomy to mental health to banking, and I don't think we have the time. Maybe we'll have to sit late, and I'm sure that very soon the three of you are going to be stalked and spammed. There are a lot of questions coming from eager parents and students, which is a sign that we can continue to engage with our students and the parent community across the country. And I'm really grateful to the three of you. So to everyone who's watching us, young students, concerned parents, or parents who are happy to be part of this, and teachers, I just want to tell you that we really appreciate the time that you took to be with us this evening. And the three stars of our show are young students who have gone through life and have reached a certain pedestal where they're able to advise. And we will continue to reach out to them, and we'll continue to engage with many of our students back in schools and our parents. And I promise that we'll do our best to get those answers and share them with you in some form or the other. But as we close this, the inaugural session of the Career Mirror, I'm really grateful to the three of you, Anamil, Shania, and Srinitish, for sparing your time. It's been a busy day, I know, for most of you, and Shania, I think you're coming towards the evening or maybe the afternoon in London. I mean, your honest and insightful mention about your experiences and the suggestions and the advice that you gave is truly commendable. And also thank the ones who raised those questions. And I'm hoping we tried our best, along with this alumni body, this panel, to try and answer some of those questions to the best of their ability. So on behalf of the VIBGYOR group of schools, I thank the Univariety team for partnering with us. And before we conclude, I call upon Shiny from the Univariety team to bring this to a closure. Shiny?
Thank you so much, Shim sir. I think it was a wonderful and amazing session by all three of you alumni. Firstly, I would like to thank the VIBGYOR management for giving us this opportunity to organize this session. Thanks to Rustom sir and Kavita ma'am for their time from their busy schedule. And I would love to highlight to all the students and parents, those who are here, as one of the alumni mentioned, that how important networking is. I think that your group is giving you that opportunity to build your network right from the school you are in by bringing this alumni portal to all of you. And I'm really happy and glad to announce it to all of you that we will be soon having this access to all students. While you can spam Shania and Anamil and Srinitish on the portal asking them multiple questions. And I'm also happy to highlight that they're not just three of them. There will be hundreds of alumni, those who've passed out from across the VIBGYOR group, to answer your questions and help you mentor, take your career decisions, right? And lastly, I would like to thank Shim sir for moderating this entire session flawlessly. Thank you so much for that, Shim sir. And thank you once again to all three of you alumni. I think I'm going to carry a lot of insights and stories from you guys to tell my son as well, which is interesting to hear from you all. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great evening.
Thank you so much, and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.